What's going on, guys? Today we have a very, very special guest on the show. We have Robett Hollis. Robett, can you tell us a bit about yourself, bro?
Yeah, man. Kind of pretty crazy sort of journey, but I'm 35 now, so I feel pretty washed up and old. But ex-pro snowboarder, started and sold a few businesses, and now based between San Fran and New Zealand. But yeah, fingers in many pies, which keep me up to mischief, which is good.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic, man. Fantastic. Now, I want to throw it right back. Can you tell us about your come up and sort of where you went to school and then your sort of teenage years and young adult years and what you were up to during that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was fortunate because I had a very wide variety of a start point. So my whānau's from Ngāti Porou, East Coast Gisborne and Waipiro Bay. I grew up on a farm in Dargaville, went to Arapuru Primary till I was like 4 or 5. Then I actually lived in Fiji. I lived in Suva till I was 8 years old. And then moved back to Christchurch, went to Aranui. So I kind of grew up there. So my company's called Aranui Ventures, based from where I was from. So my kind of journey was really, really weird. I was, this kind of Māori kid on a farm with a bunch of white boys up in Dargaville, and then I go as the Māori to Fiji, and then all of a sudden I'm the white boy because compared to Fijians and Indians, I'm probably white, and then I come back to Aranui, and then I'm brown again. It's kind of weird. So, I think I've just had a pretty a blessed upbringing, really, because I got to see a lot of life in a lot of the world.
I see. Very cool, man. Very cool. Now, I've seen a lot of videos of you on YouTube, whether it's you, flying to 3 different cities a day or just cruising around in your offices. And one thing I've noticed that you have this like really unique persona. You're a really sort of outgoing guy and you like to have a lot of fun. Where does this sort of almost, extremely excited and just motivated guy come from,
Yeah, so I mean, I failed high school and I couldn't get into university.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not book smart. I'm really bad with, spreadsheets and systems and all. I'm bad at a lot of stuff, but I love people and energy and momentum. I think I'm addicted to positivity and momentum, right? I think energy can snowball itself. And it was weird. I was watching, don't know if you got to see the Last Dance, Michael Jordan's doco.
Yeah, I saw a bit of that.
And they would talk about how he would make something up in his own head to give himself his own fuel to keep himself going. And I think I've been pretty similar like that as well. Like I know that I will specifically do things to create my own momentum to snowball and stuff. So, when I'm running around and doing a whole bunch of stuff, do I need to do all that stuff? No, but you can tell I'm smiling even just talking about it because I genuinely like it, right? Like I enjoy the momentum and the pace and the speed, but then simultaneously I can happily sit, by myself for a week straight and not see anyone and be good too. So I think you need to have the balance of both. And that's one of the things people probably don't realize is that, I am totally happy to not see anyone for a month, or I could be with 10,000 people and be just as hype. So, but yeah, I'm addicted to positive momentum. And if it doesn't exist around me, I'll just create it.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Even if it means coming up with something in my own head to do it. But
I've
done it before and 100%. Yeah. And then I'm competitive as well on top of it because I come from a pretty high level sport background. So when you're competitive against yourself and for others and you can create your own momentum, it's quite a lethal combo because it means you get your drive is usually higher than most, your determination and grit and resilience is usually higher than most, and then your momentum to push through when others fall off usually is also a case.
Fantastic, man. Now talking about that positivity and that starting your own momentum, you started multiple businesses, didn't you? A media network and things like that. Coming out of high school and not having a university degree or something like that, how do you create that momentum? Your back's against the wall. People will be looking at you like, oh, no, this kid's got no shot, but you just stood up and you're like, nah, I'm going to do this. I'm pretty sure I saw a podcast of you were talking to a guy about you rented out someone's bathroom, and I think you lived in that for a while, and you just said you were working 20 hours a day just doing this thing, and you loved it as well. Backs against the wall. You're talking about being positive, and you're starting these companies. Can you tell us about the startup of those?
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's probably 2 parts. One is the genesis, and the second one is the I guess, the expansion. So the genesis of the companies that I've been involved with have always been a byproduct of finding a need that my friends had or seen a gap in the market, right? I wasn't, hey, let's make money, let's do this. It was like, why is it that Mountain Dew needs to deal through 20 different people to finally talk to me in the online snowboard landscape in New Zealand? That doesn't make sense. Why aren't we talking to them? So, I've always questioned. I've always been really curious about questioning why, and that probably frustrates a shit ton of people. But I think when you can keep asking the questions of why, you'll find a gap. And as soon as you can find a gap, that's when you can laser focus to be like, all right, well, is there something in that? And most often than not, there usually is. And then you sense check it to the market. So the first couple of businesses, I mean, the main initial start one with the online snowboard website was we were going from dial-up to broadband internet.
Yep.
I could see what was coming, and what I saw coming was content was going to get consumed more and more. Communities would gather online around content, and there was going to be a way to be able to commercialize it. When I first decided to make the call, it was just before I actually got a silver medal at the Snowboard World Finals. I'd already decided that I was going to retire after that comp regardless, because I was like, I think I'm going to start this company, and I feel that this is going to be a thing. And everyone thought I was crazy. Like, even my two best mates were like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? But I could see it, I could see it. And sometimes I've been wrong, but most of the time I'm lucky I've been right. But I could see where the market was going. I could see where my skill sets plugged into. And then I had the right skill sets for it, because I knew how to handle a camera. I could be in front of the camera. I could code. I could program. I could design. I could host. I could MC. I could flip and I could write. I could do absolutely everything. So there was nothing stopping me. So the first one with the Genesis was always find a gap of something that I was into, figuring out what I could do better, and then going for it. And then the resiliency for growth is the second piece. It was like, when I was starting my first company, I was staying in Methven, and I rented out a buddy of mine, Chris's house. He had a small bathroom upstairs, and for like $40 a week, I would chuck all my shit in the bathtub, and then I put I put a foam mattress down on the ground. No heating, and then that's just how I rolled. I was like, let's get at it, and why I think as well, like, as you can probably tell, I'm smiling again, is because I feel that when you start at that level of bottom, and everyone knows you don't feel bad for any of the good stuff that comes, because everyone knows you've done your time, and you're like, shit, I have, stuff you. And so it's exactly how I feel. And it's good too, because everyone knows that nothing got handed to me. And I think that is, for me, that means a lot. And that's something that I hold pretty dear. So the genesis is finding the gaps, and then the momentum is, it makes you feel better about what you've earned, knowing where you've come from.
Yeah, well, just talking to you now, it seems to me that you're not even in love with this sort of the high life. It's more that you're just in love with this constant working, the constant the want to create and do awesome things. It's that process that you seem to be smiling about. Someone can say to you, $10 million, or live in a bathroom, and I guarantee you go into the bathroom. It just seems to be that.
Well, now I might take the 10 mil.
Well, yeah, for sure, man, for sure, exactly.
I got two daughters under 2, so my priorities have changed a little bit. No, exactly, but I think it's you need the passion for me anyway. I'm really passionate about creation and momentum. Those are the two things I absolutely love, regardless what it is. I can find it and see it, and then as well, I think you said before, for me anyway, I'm smiling because if I'm not having fun, I'm not going to flip and do it.
Of course.
Stuff it. Why?
Well, it's not really working if you're having fun, if you're constantly just getting up. It's like, oh man, I love this so much. I don't need to. It doesn't feel like I'm working. The day just goes by like that. And you're just doing every little project bit by bit. So that's fantastic. Now, you said that when you were starting up, that your two best friends didn't believe in you at all. How when you've got friends, your best mates saying, no, this isn't going to work. That's a big thing. That's a really, really big thing. How does someone like yourself just say, nah, screw that, I back what I'm going to do, especially when you have people saying, nah, this isn't going to work?
So the basic answer would be stuff them, just go do it. You can just put your mind to it and you'll be sweet. That's amateur thinking.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you're being emotive to the situation against others. You're not being reactive to the actual market using common sense with commercialization. There's a difference. So you need, between you and your friend or the haters that are the closest to you usually, you need a filter. And the filter that sits in the middle needs to be detaching the emotion, the product or service. Will the market mess with it? Yes or no? And if it's a yes, then it's like, cool, now you can deal with the emotions, park the emotion to the side and then go for it.
Yep.
But if it doesn't, you're going to find out soon. Because one of the biggest mistakes people do is they don't put a filter in the middle. They just say, stuff you, I'm going to do it. And then because they're usually younger, they'll have too much arrogance or confidence or ego early saying, stuff you, I'm going to go do it. But the market dictates, right? The market goes undefeated. If the market thinks your product is shit, they won't buy it. It is shit.
Sure,
and then what sometimes happens is their own stubbornness to understand what is actually working or not. They don't listen to it. They put the blinders on because they said, no, stuff you, I'm right. I'm going to make it work. Stuff you, I'm right. And weirdly enough, they drive a business which doesn't make sense commercially. They keep driving it because out of their own personal ego and stubbornness. So what I would highly recommend is put the filter in first. And then if you feel that the market genuinely, even if you take all your own hype away from it, because, one of my biggest risks is I can hype myself up into thinking something shit is awesome because I just keep doing it to myself, right? So you need to be like, stop, okay, detach the emotion. Has this got legs? What are the numbers? What does it actually look like, and then potentially go for it. But if you know that the market's there and you know that the product or service is there, and then if someone's close to you is saying, no, stuff this, then stuff it. Because you're not getting an emotion to you're not getting emotional to their emotions. What actually happens, and this is something that have taken me a bit to realize, because I've had a bunch of feedback. I had some feedback recently from someone who was close, and I could have just decided not to do it. And then I thought about, well, why are they thinking that way? Why are they? And then because I play chess, I love chess.
Yeah,
I think moves. I'm like pieces down, pieces up. I'm like, okay, why? And more often than not, when there's someone close to you that's doing that, they're being negative because they won't ever admit it to themselves or probably to you ever. But the reason why they're doing it is actually because they have a lot of insecurities about stuff they haven't gone after, dreams they haven't tried, moves they haven't done, everything. And then because they haven't felt that for themselves, they see you potentially trying to go after it, and then their own subconscious jumps forward to try and sabotage that. And I've seen that happen time and time again. So to answer the question is, put the filter in place, ask why are they actually saying that? Because if someone's totally crushed it and done it a million times and they're saying, nah, man, no, because of this, if they don't have a vested interest in it and they've got more experience than you and they know the market better than you, they probably know something you don't. But if it's someone that knows nothing about it, it's just close to you and has been a hater because they're still flipping stuck doing some basic bullshit, then stuff it. But people don't have that, the then what? They think it's A or B, but there's always a gap in the middle. And I think that's where you've got to spend the time and energy to make sure you're doing the right thing.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point, and it's something I haven't come across yet because I'm still young, but I'm sure as I'm 19 now, but as I progress into my older years, there'll be some people that start to put each other down, because some people will try and excel and do things like you're doing, why is it that some people don't go after those dreams? Obviously the people that do go after those dreams are so passionate about it. What's stopping people from going after their own thing and just talking negatively about that person over there?
Well, it's not passion, right? Everyone is passionate about their own different things. Not having passion is not the reason. The reason they usually don't is because they don't have enough bravery internally with what they're about to go after it, because they're usually fearful of what others think, what others will say, what failure could look like, all the rest of it. I mean, when I eat shit, I'm the first one to say it, and it's like, yep, took a L. Yeah, cool. And if you own it, I think about, I've said it a couple of times before in videos, is, that movie 8 Mile where Eminem at the end of it, he just destroys himself first and no one else can say shit. I want to be that guy.
True, man.
Because then if you take away all the ammunition, what are they going to say? Oh, it didn't work. It's like, yeah, well, we covered that. I told you it didn't work and I documented and showed it and explained why. Next.
Yeah, okay, I see. So
So,
like,
so you take away the ammunition. So the way because I'm visual, I see everything visually. Is when I go and step into out into the public domain or do anything, I see it like I'm surrounded in a room and everyone around me in a 360 has all got AK-47s all pointing at me, right? But the difference is I hold the bullets.
yeah,
They can't
yeah,
do shit.
yeah,
If I give them the ammo, if I give them the bullet, if I give them that energy, then they can attack me with it. Then they can hit me with it. But if I've said everything that you're going to say about me, and I genuinely don't give a shit, and I'm going to flip and do it anyway, what are you going to say?
oh, facts,
Oh,
that's
he's
awesome.
young and he's loud. Or he's just like stuff that. So that's
Yeah,
why I think,
yeah.
hold the bullets. That's why you got to
Mhm.
hold your emotions, hold the bullets. And when you hold the bullets, man, no one can say shit because you've already taken all their power away from them. It's one of the most powerful things which so many people don't do because they're too fearful of what others think or say.
For sure, for sure. So just by you being able to hold those bullets, you basically have that power because, like you said, Eminem, saying, I think he said something about, my mum lives in a trailer, I live in a trailer, all that sort of stuff. All of a sudden that other guy couldn't come back and be like, yo, your mum and you live in a trailer together, blah blah blah. So it's a similar concept there.
It's the exact strategy of how he
Yeah,
won.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I got you.
Like, that is, so people were like, oh, that's a mean movie. I was like, no, no, no. That's actual ninja shit. He took away all the ammunition
Yeah.
from the competition. They couldn't say shit to him. So then he won.
I
So I
see.
think of it in the real world, it's like, well, if you own it, if you totally own it yourself, you're authentically you,
Yep.
and you own it and do it, no one's going to say shit. So then your energy is focused on creating and building and moving. It's not worried about what flipping Sally
Definitely.
from accounts
Definitely.
thinks, or your best mate Steve who
Yeah.
never flipping made it to where he wanted to and has got regret about his futures. It's like stuff that. So
Mm.
I think once again it's the chess thing. So when you combine strategic thinking with momentum and energy, it's flipping lethal, man. Like when you can, you're talking before about flying around all sorts of, like, yeah, I 100% do that, but strategically as well, I'm playing a generational game.
Yeah.
I'm playing a game that's, and it's only over time that people are starting to see what I'm doing. And it's like, I've been telling you this from the flipping start. This is what I'm
Mm.
doing, and so, we'll see I hope the upside and the value of things that I've done in 2020 and, 2100,
Definitely, man. Definitely. That's awesome. Now I
I
wanted
won't
to,
be here, but I'll
yeah,
be dead
yeah,
but
for sure, for
you
sure.
might still be there.
Playing the game, man. Playing the game. So I saw a video of you. I think you flew to three different cities in one day. I think it was Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, or maybe not in that order though.
Oh
That
yeah,
re-
San Fran. I went San Fran, Auckland,
yeah, yeah,
Christchurch, Wellington.
something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where do you get the energy to do that? Because I don't think a lot of people can have that same energy to be able to manage
No.
that sort of travel schedule and be able to do all the work in between. Where does that come from?
Well, the average person would probably say, oh, they're just a bunch of pussies. They should just harden up and do it. It's like,
Hmm.
well, no, you need to have a drive or an engine that's different,
Hmm.
So I know that my engine is different. I can switch on mentally to go to town and go to town, So I
Oh shit, that's not good. Oh no.
wanted to do stuff. But the point is, I had the engine to do it because I would gear myself up mentally of like, all right, cool, this is what I'm doing. And then I could pre-stack it out with what I knew where I would be physically, where I would be emotionally, mentally. And then that's not to say that I wasn't tired at times. It's just more like I could pinpoint the exact spot where I had to be at a certain level of gears. So I call them gears. And so physically, if I'm here now, like I'm just totally chilling, this is like a level 2 or 3,
Oh,
I'm
yep.
just cruising. But if you can tell yourself where you're physically and emotionally, mentally need to be with your gears, then it's going according to plan. So you're not stressed out about it because you know that was part of the plan.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It's a different way to think about energy. And most
Mm.
people just think it's like, oh, it's just going full on, blah, blah, blah. It's
Yeah.
like, no, no, no. I'm in 5th, 4th,
Yeah, yeah.
3rd in the car, 2 when I'm sitting in the lobby. I ramp back up 4, 5, and then I'm,
Cool,
and
cool.
you just need to think about, think about your energy like a car, and you're taking a big long road trip. You're not going to flip and sit there in first gear trying to go 100K an hour.
Yeah,
It's just not going
of
to work.
course.
So, gears and energy. And I guess I just kind of take energy a bit differently with that type of stuff.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So the thing I wanted to ask, in regards to the energy was when you were traveling around, obviously in fifth gear, you've developed, gear one, gear two, gear three, etc. I think when you're younger, I would make the assumption that you only had gear one and two, and you built like, oh, now I'm at gear three, and then when you're like 19, oh, I've developed gear four, and then as you get older, you kind of develop different abilities to work that hard. Is that developed over time, or did you always have 5 gears?
No, see, I think it maybe a bit differently. When I was 19, I had sleep in fifth gear.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Like you wake up and because you've got the energy and you're just driving.
Yeah.
The thing is, you're like a shotgun. You just flipping going like, like so you're in shotgun mode. You're not in sniper mode. What happens is you realize that you go to execute, you need sniper, not shotgun.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's super easy to go super wide and do a whole bunch of shit, but to actually have depth, you need to drill down. It's it's like you're watering a garden. If you got one hose, if you want to water everything, it's only going to go there. But if you want to really get into one, then you get depth. So I think it's sort of balancing it out. But yeah, I mean, the way I think about all these things is definitely different to most, and it's just worked for me. Some people need certain things to stay balanced, and I think if you're aware of what those things are, your life can get a whole lot easier.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, that's great advice. The last thing I sort of wanted to pick your brains on was advice that you could give people my age or people that are sort of trying to come up and do stuff for themselves, get into the workforce or start their own businesses. We seem to have a bit of a debate in our society at the moment along the lines of, do you need to go to university or do you not need to go to university? What is your general take on university and the education system? What should people be doing, and etc.? Yeah.
It's not binary, right? So I don't have the right to speak on university because I never went. But I don't know. One of the main reasons that I got, I did the deal with Saatchi and Saatchi from Frontside was I didn't know what it was like to be inside a $1 billion machine.
Yep.
How do I have the right to have an opinion on it if I haven't seen that other side, to have empathy for where they're coming from? I don't have a right until I see it. But what I do know is that in a world that's changing faster than ever, I wouldn't go to university if it had anything to do with something that was super fast changing, and the stuff that you're learning isn't even in the real world. You're going to lose. Like that, you're stuffed. But if I want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or specific things where I need skill sets and certifications, 100%, so I don't think you can blanket statement uni, but I think once again, it's not a yes or a no. There's this bit in the middle, and the bit in the middle is like, okay, with where I want to go with my life, does this make sense? Would I personally now, if I was 18 years old, would I go to somewhere to study something that the education is so outdated for what the marketplace is? No. You learn by doing. When you've got a chance to do both, that's great. So, but one of the things I would say is I definitely am not as smart in certain things as friends of mine in business who went and got their MBAs and their business degrees and blah, blah. But then they would say, oh, well, I'm not as creative or did the stuff as you. I wish I didn't. And it's like, well, that's the whole point, right? I don't think you can have your cake and eat it too. I went and created and did a whole bunch of shit and got experience that they'll never have, but then they know how to, structure deals, or they know how to do, it's different skill sets. And so that's one of the big things I'd say is, if one's a creative and one's a doer, that's a partnership. If you're a creator and you suck at the doing, don't try to do doing. If you're a doer and have no creative ideas, don't try to be a creator. When anyone says try and work on your weaknesses in business, I think that's absolute bullshit. There's more than enough people who are awesome at stuff that you suck at. And if I could be me by myself doing 2 things at a B or 1 thing at an A+, and if I partner with someone else who can do that other thing as an A+, who do you think is going to win? 2 Bs or 2 AAs? It's like, it's a flipping no-brainer. And so many people are like, work on your weaknesses. It's like, no, if my weaknesses is system, process, and structure, I get a flipping EA or someone in an accountant that can do all my money stuff. If I'm horrendous at, selling, but I've got a great product, I flipping hire a salesperson. I never need to talk to anyone again. Don't try to be awesome at everything, because if you can never be A+ at it all, a team of 3As are always going to beat you trying to do 3 things every time.
Awesome.
And
Now,
people always stuff that up.
Okay. Now, in regards to learning those important skills, you know, if you were not wanting to go to university, or you were in university and you want to learn more skills in regards to business or entrepreneurship, is you know, something like YouTube videos a way to go? Should you be trying to partner with someone? What should you be doing to? Because I'm in university at the moment, first year, and I do feel that some of it's outdated. You know, we're still talking about stuff like from 20 years ago, and to me,
What are you studying?
I'm studying sport and recreation management. It's got like business, marketing, what else? Psychology, all that sort of stuff. And there's sides of it that just feel slightly outdated. And
some parts will be, right? But
the
skill set across those things for what you got into is great. The bit that the advice I would say, even if you're in there, is there's so much time in the day. Like, so every day I set myself in my calendar, I'll send myself listen time and learn times. They're coded in green, which is my personal thing. So I'll have, I'll listen to ebooks every day and through Blinkist, and then I'll have learn sessions, and I've got a couple of different links of different stuff I go and check out. You know, if you're passionate about something, you can smash work from 8 to midnight every night and still have a normal life.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's just getting the balance off of where you get it. So my advice to it was, if you don't think that just because you're at university, you can't do anything else. You know, you can. If you're passionate about it, you can learn. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, I learn off YouTube all the time. It's like, how to you know, the latest one was like how to find different efficient hacks with Google Drive.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's new shit every year. So keep learning, you know. If you're not passionate and inquisitive to keep trying to find ways to make life better, you haven't cracked life, and the game changes, you know. And if you have that mindset, you would just be like, you know, some of that stuff you're talking about that's 20 years outdated. It's like, it was cool in 2000, but it's 2020 and no one cares. And that can actually work in your disadvantage against you if you have that mindset.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I see. That's very cool. Now, to finish up, I thought I'd better just ask, you know, in terms of your future, Robett Hollis, moving forward, what are some of your future goals and things that you want to accomplish while you're still, you know, 35, young as you've got ages to go? What are your plans?
So the way I sort of see this in 100-year period is, if you live for 100 years, you got a full game of basketball, right?
Yep.
And your game's broken into quarters, and I'm only in my second quarter. I'm not even at half time yet. You know, and if I think of it in thirds, I almost feel like I've lived a third of my life now, and I've got to a spot where it feels like it's an even playing field. I can make moves anywhere to do anything. I could pick up the phone and get to the CEO. I mean, I did it yesterday. I got the CEO of, you know, this $1 billion thing yesterday. Cool. There's the field is set for me to actually play. So maybe what I feel like is, you know, went through high school, I learned how to breathe, went through snowboarding, learned how to transition, went through the first wave of business stuff. I learned how how that world works. Now I've got the relationships and the network. Now I can play. So I actually only think I'm just getting started, you know. And I genuinely feel that that's the case. But what I have become very, very aware of, which has validated what I've been thinking for years, is the fact of, you never know where everyone else is going to be in 5 to 10 years' time. Always treat those around you as if they'll potentially be the next president in 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Because one of them's going to be.
Yeah, true.
100%. And the power shifts. And if you play relationships based on a title and temporary relevance, you're playing transactions and you will lose. When you play genuine relationships, half the time I don't even know who anyone flipping is until after we're homies and we're like, oh, that's right, you're a flipping so-and-so. All right, cool. So, you know, real hitters know the energy that you're bringing to it, and they know if you're trying to get close for what you do, not who you are. And I think when you can play the game to try and be friends with people of who you are, life gets a lot more easier, because when that bridge crosses back again in 5 years, whatever, you already trust and know and like that person, and now you're actually just talking about the deal. But what most people do in your age is they'll burn a bridge for $3,000.
Right. Okay. I see. Yeah.
you know, think of it this way. I'll finish because I know. Yeah, well, I had someone that worked for me that essentially got screwed out of a deal for 20 grand.
Oh man.
And you know, like that's 20 grand is 20 grand, but I thought of it differently. I said, okay, well, he's burnt that bridge. Well, how much did that bridge actually cost? I said, well, if it's 20 grand, say if I'm 30 and I do business till I'm 70, that works out to $500 a year, right? So 40 years, $500, 20 grand. All right, well, that $500 a year works out to about $10 a week. Okay, so 2 cups of coffee a week, he's burnt that bridge. So then all I thought was, all right, well, when I fast forward 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead, how much is that bridge worth?
Of course,
and the reality is the bridge is worth a lot more than that cup of coffee. So when you can start to extrapolate the dollars out over a 100-year period, you'll make different decisions. And what usually happens is young people go chase that buck, they burn a bridge, not realizing that person they burnt is going to be the king decision maker and something for them in 20 years from now. And they've already tarnished and they have that black book. Then you're stuffed.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Great advice. And hey, we really appreciate your time. I know you've got a busy schedule, so I'll let you get on with it, etc. Do you just want to throw out your socials for everyone to go and follow? I know my audience won't be as big as yours, but try and send some people over to continue receiving your advice and everything like that.
No, it's just robett.com. Super easy. Just my name. But no, I think stuff like this that you're doing is important. Young bucks sharing and learning, you know, you don't need to know all the answers, but you're sharing it as you're learning it. And I think I've got it on my thing. It's like learn, share, repeat.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
right?
Awesome. Yeah.
If you're doing that and sharing it to others, it's rad. And what will be funny is you're going to look back on this in 10 years time and you'll be cracking up with what you thought your headspace was. So I highly recommend documenting the ideas that you're thinking and whatever, because the game's going to have changed in 10 years. And, you know, I'm sure we've obviously just met now, but I've no doubt that this is going to could be a moment of something and you look back and laugh at. So don't feel bad to share the good stuff, because it matters and makes a difference for those that aren't as brave.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate those kind words, and then obviously appreciate your time. So thank you very much, man.
Awesome, brother. All right, man. Talk soon.
Cheers, bro. Have a good one.
Later, bro. Peace.